Welcome back to Sahara TV. My name is Rodolfo Okonkwo. Our next guest was last week honored at the Nigerian Centenary Award as one of the 100 greatest people that have contributed to Nigeria's development in the last 100 years. As a general in the Nigerian army, he was named Nigeria's head of state in 1983 after the coup that truncated the Second Republic. A palace coup in 1985 removed him from office. As the new democratic dispensation started in 1999, after almost 20 years of military rule, he reinvented himself and ran for president in 2003, 2007, and 2011. And he may do it again in 2015. He is the only Nigerian described as having a cult-like following. It is our distinguished honor to have Nigeria's former head of state, General Muhammadu Buhari, joining us again at Sahara TV. General Buhari, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you.
Let me start. Last Friday, you were at a dinner, you were given an honor as one of the 100 most important people in Nigeria's development in the last 100 years. A picture of you shaking hands with President Goodluck Jonathan was immediately sent out by the presidency, and it was probably the most circulated picture on social media all of last week. Did you, for once, think twice about accepting that honor?
Well, I honestly did, but I was convinced by my associates, my friends, that this is about Nigeria. And irrespective of the regime, which party is in power, history cannot be changed. And I happen to be hold all the political appointments by the 1990 Constitution. I was a governor in the northeast, now 6 states of Yobe, Borno, Gombe, Bauchi, Adamawa, and Tarawa. That time I was the only governor under Murtala Obasanjo regime. Then I was in Petroleum for 3.25 years. Then I was a head of state for 20 months. Then I was the chairman of Petroleum Trust Fund under Sani Abacha's regime for 5 years. So really I was convinced that there is no way Nigerian history can be written without my name. So I accepted the invitation. I went and I accepted the honor done to me by the president, Johnson, and by the country.
Now, some young people who saw that picture actually thought that you were being a statesman by going there to accept the honor. But there were many who were concerned about the timing, especially with Boko Haram massacre happening within that week. So the question I have for you is, do you think that young people don't get some of these things right? Or is it a disconnection between the generation, your generation, and the young generation?
I don't think there is any disconnection. The young people should understand the reality of the situation. And they must not forget that we fought a civil war for 30 long months and millions of Nigerians perished. That did not stop us celebrating Republic Day. Every year there is supposed to be a parade by school children, by armed forces and the police. I think that observation was made by a number of people, but I think this is the beauty of the system. We are trying to stabilize the party democratic system. People can have their opinions, but what the government decides, what particular government decides at any particular time, it carries it out. The only test people should wait for elections to express their satisfaction or otherwise of some of the government actions and decisions.
Now, General, one last question on this award. There were some people who actually rejected the award, including Wole Soyinka. And currently, there is a big debate going on between the supporters of Soyinka and the children of General Sani Abacha over his reason for rejecting the award. And I want to ask you, one is, do you think that those that rejected the award, that their reasons were right reasons? And secondly, if you were president, will you have honored General Sani Abacha?
Well, see, to me, I have already explained that it's what happened to us within the last 100 years as a nation. And most of these things which qualified those Nigerians to be recognized have gone into our history as Nigeria within the last 100 years. So nothing will rub it off. Whether a leadership within those 100 years was found to be corrupt, if it has been tried, or whether there was evidence, as in the case of late head of state Sani Abacha, or it was not traced to some people. But the beauty of our system, which I have been involved in, is that whoever gets political appointment from the Murtala Obasanjo regime declares his assets or her assets for certain political positions, and then will redeclare assets when they leave that position. So all of us that are heads of state, governors, deputy governors, ministers, permanent secretaries, at both state and federal level, and commissioners, some senior members of the armed forces and the police, declare their assets. So really, if Nigeria is serious about finding out which of its leaders at which level are corrupt or not, is not a difficult thing.
Yeah.
It's not a difficult thing.
Yeah, but for instance, we know that this week, the American government, they announced that they froze accounts that belong to General Abacha. And young people who are reading this and watching this, they are wondering, so what is the message we are passing across? If we are honoring people because they had positions, but we also know that they had things they did during their time in office that were not good. Are we saying that it's okay as long as you had that position, you were governor, you were head of state, that it's okay to be that position and then get the reward at the end? Is that the message we are passing across?
No, I don't think so. I think it depends on current government. This PDP government and well, with the president, Johnson as a president, has a problem of punishing corrupt officials. And corruption has been a major problem as a nation now. I would have said that what the National Assembly did in conducting hearings on single institutions, Power Holding Company of Nigeria, Pensions Fund, Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources and its parastatals, there was enough facts that indicted a number of executives of the parastatals and the minister herself. And after today, the people are talking about it. So some regimes are more strict on following the constitutional rules about officers or officials from the head of state downwards to a certain level, declaring their assets when they get into office and declaring their assets when they went out of office, and they are to be prosecuted for corruption and mismanagement. But the hearings, as I told you, that were conducted, show that this government is very shy about punishing corrupt individuals.
All right, let's go to Boko Haram and issues around that. Recently, they added your name on their target list. Did that surprise you? And have you changed anything in your security apparatus because of that?
Oh dear, the line has gone off.
Okay, I could hear you very well. Let me. Okay.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I'm not responsible for my personal security, but I think under the circumstances, the government has given me adequate security physically in my residence, wherever I stay, when I'm moving across, escorts, armed escorts. I honestly do not feel upset by Boko Haram targeting me and another colleague of mine in terms of in head of state that they will be assassinated or whatever. The person of Boko Haram is not very clear now, because firstly we spoke against it that it was no longer religious, because no religion advocates hurting the innocent. Secondly, what I know, because I'm a practicing Muslim, you can't wrap yourself with explosives and kill people anywhere, either in the church, in the marketplace, or children in school, or abduct children and murder them, and you said Allahu Akbar. I said, you either don't know what you are saying or you don't believe in it. That one is absolutely clear, and any normal person will understand it. So people are killed in churches, in mosques, in marketplace, children in school. I think they should change the name from Boko Haram to some photo of terrorists, because whether you have some Western education, which is Boko in Hausa, or you have Eastern education, which means Arabic and reading the Quran, studying it and understanding it. You are a practicing Christian or a practicing Muslim, you don't hurt the innocent. You don't, not even question of murder and take a life. So really, to get scared about that threat and so on, that means is to, for one to consult program for oneself that may develop into maybe high blood pressure and heart attack and so on, because there are neither Christian nor Muslims, as far as I am concerned. They are just terrorists. So,
now, you recently described the ideology fueling the Boko Haram insurgents as devilish and senseless. And you added that it should not have been given a space, it should not have a space in any civilized society. Something that has not been talked about in this discussion on Boko Haram is why now and why northern Nigeria? And are there things that we did in the past that gave space for this devilish and senseless ideology to flourish?
I felt that personally, Nigeria has the capacity, to nip it in the bud, in the sense that all it needs, in my understanding, is for Nigerian president to sit down with the neighboring presidents of Cameroon, Chad, and Niger, and make sure that weapons do not circulate freely. Firstly, secondly, training facilities are not allowed because it's, to us to feel that our three neighbors are more security conscious than us. Nigeria has trained military and other law enforcement agencies. They have got the ways and means, they have got the resources to make sure that they secure this country. But unfortunately, there seems to be an incredible incompetence on the part of the government to stop insurgency, both kidnapping and this mass killing of innocent people and children all over the country.
Now, 3 weeks ago, in an interview with the Voice of America, you complained about how the military, they've been carrying out their operations in northern Nigeria. You were quoted to have said, and I read, that now there are accusations that they collect bribes at checkpoints. You were talking about the military, and that they rape women during operations, as was the case in Borno, that was not known before. Now, if you kill one of their own, they round up and wipe out the community, like what happened in Baga. Now, how did the military descend to this level?
Well, you are just as good as mine. Although, unfortunately, my most working life, at least 23 or 24 years in the military. And when I made that comment, I compared with what happened in Britain during Margaret Thatcher's time at Brighton, when she wanted to have a party convention, and she was advised by the British security then that the IRA was determined, Irish Republican Army, was determined to cause havoc. And we were told, and it was written, that when the Thatcher was told about that, she said, it is their responsibility to defend all British citizens. And she proceeded to have her convention in Brighton. And of course, I believe part of the hotel. Actually, it was not the wing she was staying, and there were a number of casualties. And I made a comparison with what happened in Baga. I said the British security do not cordon that area and kill all moving beings around the place, as it happened in Baga, and as it happened in Bama, and a number of places. So there must be a lot of restraint. And this restraint was initially shown when Boko Haram operations started. The police handled it according to our internal security operations. They handled the army. The army checked house by house, and they got Yusuf, the late head of Boko Haram, and formally handed him over according to Nigerian law to the police. But he was murdered in the police custody, and his in-law was murdered. Their house were leveled. Since then, the Boko Haram went berserk, and now it would appear the whole combination of Nigerian military and law enforcement agencies couldn't control that. So I made that parallel example with the British. That there must be restraint on the part of the military and law enforcement agencies. There must be restraint.
Now, the spokesman for the government, Donyin Okupe, recently suggested that one of the reasons why they are having difficulty stamping out Boko Haram was that international human rights organizations have tied the hands of the security agencies by demanding, expecting them to carry out the operations without abuse of innocent citizens and extrajudicial killings. Now, you were a general in the army, and you commanded the whole armed forces. Do you think that, in all honesty, that our military have the training to deal with people who are not in uniform, fight people who are not in uniform, people who just get into cities and towns and villages and kill women and children?
Well, I'll just give you one example. I don't know who was the commander of Sani Abacha division. It was in charge of Sani Abacha division when they went and arrested Yusuf when the police handed over the operation to the army. The army went, conducted operation according to the known internal security operations in Nigeria. They went and arrested Yusuf, the leader of Boko Haram, and handed him over to the police according to the law. And the police were supposed to investigate and prosecute him. You know, that will have really solved most of the problem, if not all of. Instead, he was killed in police custody, and it was extended to his family members.
All right, one last question about... Sorry, go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I said this is how the military was trained and the police. When the police committee held the internal security, it was handed. We use that better seen
All right.
In Nigeria.
All right, one more question about Boko Haram, then we go to...
We are... Yeah, carry on.
Okay, sorry viewers, because we have delay at the connection level, so that's why we're having this interruption. But General, let me ask you one more question about Boko Haram. People have, especially people in the north, they're complaining that the government doesn't show a lot of sympathy, in fact, even for the victims. And a lot of people are wondering, you have influence in the north, and they've not seen the government in the north, I mean, northern states, come together to play a role if the federal government is not playing that kind of role. Why is it difficult, for instance, to visit the victims, help the victims out, even if the federal government is not doing it, for the northern governors to come together and individuals and private people in the north who have the means to show support and sympathy for victims of this attack?
Well, I think government is failing in its responsibilities. The fundamental responsibility of government leadership is to save life and lives and property. And this government, this country can afford it. And we believe the law enforcement agencies have been trained enough. But why is it the government cannot do its fundamental job of preserving lives and property of its citizens? And we are thinking of our governors to come together, use their resources, which should be strictly according to their budget for infrastructure and social services, to do security job. They are spending, the government are spending so much money buying vehicles for the police, giving them money for fuel, which is virtually the responsibility of the central government. Really, the government is being so ineffective in terms of security in this country. And security is number one thing. If there is no security, then you can forget about the question of economy. You can forget the question of factories opening and having employment and goods and services. You can forget about all this.
Right, let's talk about the upcoming election. You are a leader in the opposition party, APC. Let me ask you straightforward. Are you going to run for presidency, for the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the upcoming election?
I have answered that question. Maybe I didn't answer it the way you wanted. I made a statement before the last election, 2011, that I may not present myself, for elected office again. But since then, my supporters from most of the states and in the party came and insisted that I should participate. But in the government, in the party, we have just got registration, the APC. We have a system. We dissolved ourselves, a number of parties, opposition parties. We formed the APC. We are putting structure on the ground from polling unit upwards. We have just done registration. We are going to do some congresses and move to the convention, let's say election of officials that will hold the party. If by the time we come to the convention and primaries, the party APC give me ticket, I will consider participating as a presidential candidate under ACC banner.
But you are not campaigning for it.
I will campaign for it because my supporters said I should contest, but this depends on the party now.
Now, analysts are saying that the fate of APC depends on what you do. Some people say that you are the most credible face there, and some people, even in the north, are saying that if you run, that APC will be in trouble. But if you don't run, APC will be in trouble. How do you describe your role in that party and how you are seen by people across the country?
Well, as after the formation of APC, what we realized from 2005 is that the opposition parties, the main ones that have representation in the state and national assemblies, unless they come together, we have already moved into our party system, the CDP. In 2010, we had two committees, ACN and CPC. We developed name, logo, and drafted a constitution well for registration. But we are told by independent Nigerian Electoral Commission that we are too late. We need to register. We need to get registration of our party 90 days before the general election. So this time around, we started early enough. For anybody to say that whichever way it goes, if I stay, there may be problem. If I withdraw, there may be problem for the party. I think people are entitled to their opinion. But all I know is that we are putting structure on the ground. The ACC will be a party with solid structure on the ground, and by the Electoral Act, will go through the processes and get our candidates from ward councillors in the local governments to chairman of local governments to houses of assembly, to House of Representatives, to the Senate, to governors, and to the presidency.
Yeah. Now, General, there have been rich people in the past who have openly expressed their opposition to your candidacy and potential presidency. Some have even said that they will go into exile if you win. Why is it that rich people are afraid of you?
Well, I think they know better. All I know, I insist on accountability, and what's happening, I've just told you about what the National Assembly attempts to do to bring some order and accountability in this government, but they are not making much progress. We insist on, all over the world, we are rated very, very low as a nation because of the corruption in our government. We are appealing to the Western world, those who are stealing public funds and putting it in the system, the bank and so on. They should help Nigeria to recover that money. And we are grateful for what the United States is doing, and for what Switzerland has done, and for what Britain has done in terms of prosecuting those corrupt Nigerian officials that attempted to their countries, as conduit of misapplying and misappropriating Nigerian currencies.
Now, General, I know that you are familiar with the oil industry in Nigeria. And recently we heard that 20 billion, at least close to $20 billion, have not been accounted for by the NNPC. Now, when you hear something like this, what is your reaction? How do you react to that?
Well, it's most unfortunate. It's most unfortunate because I was watching one of the interviews by the governor of the Central Bank, and he said the NNPC hasn't been audited for 8 years. So really, this government that is supposed to protect the country, its constitution, the people, their resources, the government resources, is woefully failing. How can this government justify failure, to audit the accounts of this country? There is no excuse for it. We have people, we have the means. This is a great disservice to the country. And when the Senate conducted the hearing, the figures in the Ministry of Finance, Accountant General Office, Auditor General's Office, NNPC and federal status, the presidency couldn't add up. And the system in Nigeria is absolutely clear. Whatever goes out will have to be accounted for. Whatever comes in will have to be accounted in. The system is there, but it's absolutely ignored. And nobody seems to be responsible. It's free for all.
Now, in your first speech as military head of state, you said this, that the premium on political power became so exceedingly high that political contestants regarded victory at elections as a matter of life and death. And you went on to say that they were determined to capture power and retain it by all means. Now, nothing has changed in the last 30 years. In fact, some would say that it has intensified. So my question to you is, this idea of premium for power at the center is the main cause of all these our problems. And I want to know whether you agree, and do you think that the national conference, which is starting next week, is a place where we could discuss issues like this?
Well, this country, its constitution is amended. It's very clear. The National Assembly is in charge of taking this initiative. Just as I told you, we are conducting this hearing for this very important institute, national holding company of Nigeria, power holding company of Nigeria, the pension funds, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, NNPC, and other parastatals of that ministry. And the National Assembly, if they need a change in the Constitution, all they need is to get some members to work hard and produce a draft and take it to the National Assembly. The processes of changing the Constitution, I don't think this country now can afford 7 billion naira voted by the presidency to do extra parliamentary or National Assembly constitutional job. The National Assembly are the people who have been elected, and constitutionally are the people who have been given the responsibility to initiate changes in the Constitution. Why go against the Constitution? And can we afford that money to go for that John Bree? I am personally, against it because it's wasteful, and the National Assembly should be made to do its job. And the Nigerian elite should be ashamed of themselves because they should get together, get their parliamentarians or members of the National Assembly and tell them to start the processes of constitution amendment in the National Assembly. It's very clear, our constitution.
Now, General, some historians say that if the military had not overthrown the government of Shehu Shagari in 1983, that by now we'll have stabilized our democracy. Do you have any regrets in the role you played, or the military, in trying to shape Nigeria to where we are now?
I have no regret whatsoever. And after being in detention for more than 3 years, the regime that overthrew and detained me couldn't find technically anything wrong with what we did, because at the time we came, 31st December 1983 to August 17th, I think, 1985, when we came in, a number of states that were not paying salaries, some for 9 months, like Plateau states, they were not paying salaries. Nobody knows how much debt Nigeria is owing. Nobody knows. There was a problem of security. And the currency was to be devalued by through the recommendation of IMF and World Bank. When we came, the first thing we did was firstly to pay salaries of workers throughout the country that were owing various governments, states and federal. Secondly, we refused to do the Naira. Thirdly, we refused to remove so-called subsidy, the training on subsidy. We refused to remove subsidy on flour, And we put 2 committees, one under foreign, one outside the country, inside the country, to at least establish how much debt is Nigeria owing. Because nobody knew. There was so much confusion economically. So really, if Second Republic has been, it would have collapsed. Because there was no security, the economy has broken down, there was so much indiscipline in the society. Nobody is accountable. It's the type of virtual situation we are in now.
All right, General, let me ask you, a lot of young people would like to get your story in a book form. Are you planning to write a memoir that will explain the role you played in government? And do you think you owe that to the next generation?
Yes, I hope to put it down in writing my experiences. I certainly hope to do so.
Have you started?
Yes, I have started putting something in writing, but I wouldn't like to say when it will be sent to the publishers.
Now, I know you as an optimistic man, otherwise you won't be running for president for this long. But is there a point you will get to and you feel that this country cannot be salvaged?
No, I think I'm an optimist. This country is extremely lucky. We know it. Those of us who, as I said about 30 years ago, have no other country than Nigeria. This country is endowed with material and human resources. What we have failed what we failed, and what I say we in this instance, I mean the Nigerian elite, has failed to organize itself and manage this country. And this is a shame on Nigerian elite, all of us. Because as I said, like this constitutional conference or sovereign conference or whatever conference would say, the Nigerian elite ought to have get together, get the members of the National Assembly from various constituencies and tell them and drive and give them to go to the Assembly and do it, because they are being paid to do it. Why should we take 7 billion naira to go and collect people who haven't been formally elected by Nigerians to come and start talking about what to do with the country? What is the role of the National Assembly? So I believe this country, there are enough people. How many of you are outside of the country? How many doctors do we have outside the country? How many engineers of various disciplines do we have outside this country? But a lot of people, for headache, they will go to India, they will go to Egypt, they will go to Europe that can afford it. All these things, this country can be mobilized and efficiently managed. I believe in that. This hope is keeping me going.
Now, General, look at this. Listen to this headline. General Buhari to give a public lecture at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka on Nigeria at 100. What went wrong and how to return to the good path. Why is it that we don't see things like this, where you go out there and you give public lecture across the country and present your view as a counter to what the government is doing? Why is it that such a thing is not happening?
Well, it depends on the institutions. If a university, whether in the south or here in the north, whether it is federal or private interest individuals, wanted me to share my experience with them, with their students and so on. If they formally approach me, I will consider it. But I don't go out of my way, to go and ask to do such intellectual work in universities. I can only say my opinion when time comes for campaign and rallies and so on, on educating our voters and trying to gain support and understanding, of Nigerian voters. But on my own, I don't go around looking for lectures in institutions. The institutions know what to do. They are highly qualified, they are experienced, and they have their very, very high trained intellectuals on various subjects, on economy, on politics, on security, and I believe they believe they have much more experience, much more intellectual depth than myself.
All right, one last question, General. How do you want Nigerians to remember you?
Well, in my efforts on the way Nigeria will remember me is what we have just mentioned earlier on. My attempt 2003, 2007, and 2011 to get elected as president of this country under political system. A lot of people thought that I was wasting my time by going to the tribunals and then ending up in court. In each case, I ended up in the Supreme Court. I was doing it because I wanted the records to be put straight. That when we are trying, or when Nigeria was trying to stabilize this multi-party democratic system, there are people who are really serious about it, and they go up to the highest court, following the constitutional way of seeking redress. It will be a record. So that future Nigerians will not think that Nigerians just give up and they give up to regime. They didn't do any field work to go to the courts and put their cases across. So I believe in this system, and I said this so many times elsewhere, that this opinion, I formed it and became a Democrat in 1991 when the Soviet Union, as I understand it, an empire in the 20th century, collapsed without actually being fight. That was when I believe multi-party democratic system is the best form of governance, with the big caveat that elections must be free and fair. Hence our struggle since then.
Thank you so much, General Buhari, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to discuss the issues with you.
Thank you. That was General Buhari, exclusive interview we have with him. So stay tuned. We will continue to bring you some of our programming today.